Hi everyone, I'm Carol Gabel, your host of Business Connections, where every week I have the opportunity to introduce you to a fantastic business or someone that you would really like to get to know. And today it's my pleasure to introduce a very good friend of mine and dear colleague, Prasad Tenjerla.
Hello.
Prasad, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to talk about one of my favorite companies, PamTen. So I'm just so delighted to have you and Chaya here with me in the studio. And I want to talk a little bit, we're going to talk about your role with PamTen now.
Okay.
But, and for everybody's information, PamTen is a wonderful technology company. And it's not just an ordinary technology company. They do many, many things. So before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my theory with Business Connections is it's really about building relationships.
Okay.
And you and I met several years ago, and I had the honor of even traveling to India with you and getting to know your developers and getting to know your current family. But before your current family, there were other people, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the people that influenced you and how you reached where you are now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
After my college got over, like those were the times where not many people were aware of these computer systems. So when I wanted to do this career in these computers, like everybody were not convinced for me to go in that different route, because in India traditionally what everybody follows is you got to be an engineer or else you got to be a doctor. But
engineer or doctor.
Yeah, and that's
kind of limiting, right?
Exactly. So that's when like I was taking the route of this IT field, which is so-called, PGDCM or whatever they call. So then everybody used to ridicule, saying that, okay, this is a guy who is spending a lot of money by the name of so-called computers, and then we don't know where his future is going to be.
Right. It could be a waste of your time and money, right?
Exactly.
Because it wasn't as popular as it is today, right?
Yeah. And then it took me 1 year for me to finish off my graduation there. And then as soon as I'm done, when I got the job, then everything changed. Then everybody wanted me to be a mentor for their next generation, and then they wanted me to come in and then advise them as what will be the right course structure which they have to take to get a job similar to mine. So I used to do the job of a faculty where we used to train people. So that's how the journey began. And then as we were training students, those people, they came abroad, and then everybody came to know that, okay, there is a company by name so-and-so, and then in that company there is a person by name Prasad, get trained with him, and then you can get on board and then with a job, whoever is coming here for this master's. And then it so happened that one of the students raised a question, why don't you apply for the jobs in USA?
So you were still in India, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you started though, how did you know about computers? What made you go into that versus, a bakery or?
Yeah, good question. Because it's always crowded and then saturated market in India. As I already told you before, there are too many competitive exams which goes on, and I never felt comfortable to just compete with anybody and then everybody. So then when I have gone to this place, I found this to be a lot more elite and then like a lot more logical enough for me to at least get there and then know the basics of it. And once we started learning the basics, then we learned the fundamentals so well. Like till date, that same old school of thoughts is actually helping us to be much more organized and then much more beneficial for anybody. So the faculty background is really helping us to become a mentor for anybody. So those days we call it as counseling.
Yes.
Where a lot of fresh graduates, they used to come to us and they used to ask us, what should we do to get a job? So that's how the mentoring and then that counseling started. And then over the time when we came here, everything was good. But then after about 10 years of our existence in the United States, that's when me and Chaya, we know each other for about more than 25 years now. So we have decided to bring in a difference and then do something for this community, and then we want to bring in the difference by getting into this passionate world and then making our customers happy and then making more people around us to be happy.
Yeah.
And then the happy means about getting them more money and then making them comfortable with all the situations.
Yeah, and it all stems again from relationships
Correct.
and education, right?
Yeah.
Creating awareness. So that's what I love the most about this medium, because you get to meet so many people.
Yeah.
We get to educate the audience about many areas that they're not so familiar with. It's almost like if you go to a ballet and you watch the dancers. They look so like, oh my gosh, it's so effortless.
Yeah.
But if you go to the studio, the dance studio, and you see their feet and you see them struggle, to do what they do.
Yeah.
And I find that pretty similar to what you do, because, we all take for granted. We get on our computer, we turn it on, and, start typing. But I have no clue what goes on behind that, behind the, the everything that you don't see. It's almost like Oz and the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain, everything that's happening. So I think, your foundation, the background that you had, was really, really conducive to what you're doing now. So in the beginning, did say, like, people around you, your relatives, say, Prasad, what are you doing? You know, and were there hurdles that you had to cross? Like, when in the beginning, were there difficulties, challenges?
There is always a difficulty in any area, whatever area you go into. Like if you ask me, every role and then every job I have taken so far, it will always be very difficult in the beginning stages. But then we should know how to overcome these kind of difficulties. And my fundamentals, as I said in the beginning of this, computer course, they really helped me to be more organized. Like how they say, failing to plan is again, planning to fail. So after learning those fundamentals, what we realized is, like, with the networking and then you being good in what you do, it is going to definitely enable more people come to you and then ask you for an advice. And that's how we started realizing, and then we got confident that yes, we can definitely help others to grow. So whether it is the, say this technology route, or say, some of our clients, where when we started off in this beginning, there were many people who were being, I wouldn't like to use any wrong words, but then because they were not aware of this technology, some of the vendors used to, bill them at a very high price. And then we started showing our customers, like, you do not have to spend so much of money. And then we were able to bring in so much value with, again, lowering their costs. That's what motivated many clients to approach us, because we were more genuine, and then we were, more transparent, and also, again, quality oriented. Because, when you worked in the industry for over 18 years by the time we started, so we know exactly how we can position them to be successful.
Yeah, so that's a really good point that you bring up. So, there's a difference between showing somebody how to work their computer, the basics of technology, versus walking into a sophisticated business, or maybe not so sophisticated, and doing an assessment and saying, this is how I can make your life easier through the technology. I can save you money because you're not spending time doing this or that. So most people, as I said before with the ballet, going to the studio, they don't realize what goes into it, but hence, the value that you bring, because you're sort of like, business doctors, if you will, right? That you go in and you diagnose the business, and then you say, just so you know, if you did this or you did that, your operations would run smoother, and you would make more money, everybody would be happier, the CEO suite would be out doing what they do best, instead of wondering, how can we do this more methodically, right? Through technology versus a lot of paper, a lot of manual. A lot of doctors' offices are still using, paper files.
That's right.
So you had a great foundation, and you learned, the tools of the trade, and then you saw yourself as a mentor of sorts that could inspire others and lead the way. And along the way came your partner, right?
Correct.
Chaya.
Yeah, knowing her for about, as I said, more than 25 years, like, we both were always passionate to bring in some kind of a difference into the society. So then Chaya founded a not-for-profit organization, and then she was trying to manage and then again balance out between her employment and then doing her not-for-profit. Then we both were discussing, and then we said, like, when we are so passionate, why don't we step up and then start off something on our own? And to our surprise, like, we started off our company at her basement, and then within no time, like, there were some true, believers on us. So where they said, we would like to come and join. So even though they have seen the office at the basement, there were some, big, startup, like, nobody believes in those startups. And then the first employee started believing in us, and then the first referred the second, and second referred third, and then third referred fourth. Like, there was no salespeople around, but the way how they started building the confidence among themselves, and they have reduced so much of the sales, pitch what usually any other company does. We don't have to do any sales because our employees bring in so many referrals where, like, on an average, as of today, we get at least about 20 employees being referred to our company. So that's a confidence, like, once you make them realize that they are the ones who are the assets of this company, so they tend to take the ownership, and there is always a value proposition for them that they are all working with this good cause of that not-for-profit. And so everything works out so well, and as long as we are transparent and then we know their values, and then, like, empower them constantly, and then sometimes advising them to do about these latest technologies. Like, a lot of companies are struggling to find out about what is AI and then what is a big data.
Oh yeah, the acronyms alone, Java, Dava, Do, I don't even know half of them, but various acronyms for technology. And it's a specific course of study, right?
Correct. And then, like, like with that passion of, like, knowing each other so well, and then when we started going and then meeting with them, it became so much advantage to us that then we started realizing what all value add assets we have got. So through them, now we are able to conduct the many more official training programs through them, and they are bringing in so much value for us.
Yeah.
And then it is a continuous process where, we are up to the speed, we are having those niche skills, whatever is needed. So it's all going good.
So unfortunately, we have to take a break. We're just getting rolling now, right?
Sure.
But when we come back, we'll talk more about PamTen, your relationship with Chaya, and the family that you've grown, not only here in the United States, but over in India, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. With my guest, Prasad Tenjerla with PamTen, and we were just talking about what it takes to kind of run an efficient business in general, and why a business would need your services, right? So what I love most of all, and you know this about me, is relationships and businesses that can connect with one another and truly strategically connect. But in order for them to do that, there needs to be an understanding, almost like business dating, right? So you had the foundation, we talked about in the first segment about you going through your own training and becoming who you are and all of your experience, and now it's sort of flipped where you're able to train others, you know. And let's talk a little bit about the current services that you have, both here in New Jersey, Canada, and India. Now, most of us would be hard-pressed to just have a single business, right? But throw in India, which is, you would have to be awake all day long to be doing business in India and in the United States. Now throw in Canada. So it's a marvel, and no wonder you needed a partner to help you. One of you needs to sleep while the other one's awake, right?
I know there's always a tough competition between us, but end of the day, she wins.
See, that you have learned. I don't know whether that's American or just smart, right? Happy wife, happy life. And you and Chaya, it's almost like you're married, really. You're probably together with each other more than you are with your spouses, right? So I think that's great. And you both have a different skill set, which really makes the marriage work.
I still remember the day when we have decided to float this company. Chaya and myself, we both were having a conversation. She said, there will be some difficulties when we are going to grow. She said, when we are going to grow, There will be some differences of opinion coming up due to the financial aspect and then due to the family pressures.
Yeah.
But then we got to stick to our commitment. Then we have taken an oath together, and then we said we are not going to be stepping on each other's shoes. And that's where we complement each other. Like the way how we work on is like, we complement on each other's strength, and we basically know where she's good at, and then we just let her do, and then likewise even she lets me do. So like, from this inception stage, like she has been very strategic, and then setting up the objectives, and then she takes care of the products, projects and all. But when it comes to the staffing and then the HR and then the routine operations, people management and all, she leaves it to me, because that was my skill.
Yes,
So,
and you do it really well, because it is not easy. As I said,
Yeah.
I've gone to India with you, and I know the team, and it's almost like an orchestra.
Yeah.
You know what time in the morning.
Correct.
All the instruments need to be playing, because you have clients that are depending upon you every day
Yeah.
to make sure that their functions are smooth.
Yeah.
Because if their technology isn't working, they're going to pick up the phone and call you or somebody, right?
I know.
And if, I think that's always a major concern, that has to be working all the time, right?
I think I can probably complement the previous companies where I have assisted to. Likewise, even Chaya used to work with a lot of system integrators. So likewise, when I was working with another company, they were asking me to set up a company back home, back in India. Then, when you are not responsible for anything financially as an employee, you get to think much more independently, and they have given such a free hand for me to set up the environment. So that became a good practice for me to set up the branch out there. And then coincidentally, now it is striking me how we have started off the India branch. The first client here with whom I was working, he all of a sudden, when we have started the company, he calls me up, he says, "Prasad, we would like to set up a branch in India, and I know you belong to the same hometown where we would like to set up a branch. Can you assist me in setting up those days they used to call it as a BOT, meant for build, operate and then transform." I said, "Sure." And that is when we started the company. The second month, this particular client visited us there, and we were able to close about 7 positions.
But it's all because it's familiar, and your relationships,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I always go back to relationships. And, you and I have a great love of cybersecurity.
Correct.
And, our 15 minutes flies, so I want to make sure that we get in everything we possibly can, because this
Sure.
is such an important thing that you're doing. I know how many small businesses could be out of business if they don't have the right risk management in place when it comes to technology and cybersecurity. I've witnessed it. I know a lot about it. But I want, from your words, some of the reasons what, made you start this, and
Sure.
and the passion that you have for it, and what are you doing?
Sure.
And enlighten, the audience.
Oh yeah. Since we have been in business for over 11 years now, I got to say, it was about 4 years back, that's when this particular information security was becoming very popular. And as we know, a lot of clients were already engaging their employees to be aware of the security aspect of it. But then, thanks to the passion of, again, Chaya and me, then where we were thinking that if it is going to come into these clients, then it will be impacting the small and medium based businesses also. Because a lot of people may not be aware of, those were the days where, when you're going to be starting off a business, you just have to have a website up and running. But unless and until you need a payment procedure, that's when they want to make the site secure. So when they say secure, that used to be called as a HTTPS. Then that used to cost a lot of money for them. So they said, "No, I don't have any payment online to make, so then why should I make my site secured?" But they never realized that all these clients stopped, again, providing the access to anybody to view the websites if it is not secured. Because, hackers, we can only speak about these days, but somebody was saying that it is easier to hack a website than to go onto a bank and then do some theft. So
Same concept.
Same concept, exactly. But then here the possibility is more, because small and medium based they don't realize what is going, like again say, I mean, behind the website. So then, it is very important for any small business to be in compliance, because all these bigger clients are actually enforcing the rules that unless and until you are compliant, you're not going to be getting a business.
Right.
So they are actually thinking that it is not impacting their business, but the opportunities are getting narrowed.
Yes.
So
yes.
to be critically compliant is something which is very minimal, and a lot of people have got the high expectations of, oh, I cannot spend so much of money, but you don't need to spend so much money. It is a very limited, and then you got to be more focused towards your business and make sure what is critical and what is not.
Right.
End of the day, we all need to protect our assets, which I call it as the digital assets, which is a must for everybody to protect.
Yes.
So that's what we are, and it is not just that we have started off training or then again empowering our clients, but then we have been in compliance for over 4 years, and we have evaluated so much so that these small and medium businesses do not have to spend so much time evaluating what needs to be done and then what shouldn't be done. So we are there to help them. And as I said in the beginning, we are there for these clients to save their money.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of clients don't realize one ransomware attack could
Yeah.
put them out of business.
Oh,
So depending upon the nature of their business and how small they are, the other thing, they don't have the luxury like a big business to
I
have
know.
an IT department or a legal department, where, they can get the help they need right away. So one cyber attack, they could be down for days.
Correct.
And if there's a supply chain attached to it, now you have third-party vendors.
Yeah.
So now it becomes even more complicated
know.
and more costly, right?
To be honest with you, like a lot of people are aware of the so-called attacks which has happened in the past, and unfortunately I cannot name them, but all these attacks happened due to the low vendors, low-level vendors, where they were
Exactly.
not in compliance. So because they were not in compliance, now because it has impacted the big companies, a lot of companies, small and medium based, they think, no, I don't need this. But as long as they are not protecting their digital assets, where it could be the one customer, or say say these big customers, whoever it is, they need to protect the data.
Yeah.
So
It's becoming almost mandated now
Yes.
through legislature.
Yeah.
You have the GDRP and all the, over
yeah,
in Europe.
GDPR is another thing which is only like an iceberg. A lot of people are not realizing it. That's why you see a lot of these websites, when you open up, you need to accept those cookies thing, because knowingly or unknowingly we always capture the information. And the information, when it is captured, we need to be protected. And
Yeah.
that's something a lot of people are not aware of.
Let's face it, Prasad, we're in a new age, right?
Yeah.
Where really very little is private. We have access through technology. Look at Alexa,
Correct.
look at the Easy Pass,
Yeah.
baby monitors. There's all kinds of, crazy things going on where they can find out things,
But
right?
by all good means, a lot of companies are actually scaring these small and medium based companies. I would not like to scare, but I would like to give them a secure feeling and then a thought that, we
Right.
are there to assist you to be in compliance. The reason why I'm repeatedly saying that is because it definitely doesn't take a lot of money,
Right.
but when they don't do this, bound to lose a lot of money
Right.
in future. So why should you go in that route? So
Right. So let the audience know, once again, 15 minutes just flies by. I want to just keep talking about it because it's my favorite subject.
Yeah.
And I do know that you offer services that are really affordable. And just like you learned technology step by step, companies can also take this process step by step,
correct.
and make investments along the way. So you're also going to be doing workshops and trainings. So let the audience know where they might find you, so they can contact you and learn more about PamTen and all your services.
Sure. For more information, you can go to the website pamten.com, and then my email address is prasad@pamten.com. My phone number is 732-309-0028. We are always there to assist you for any of your needs.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the work that you do, because, as I said with the ballet, you go and watch the performance, it's wonderful, everybody says yay and they leave, but there's a lot of hard work through those hours. I've watched you in action, and doing a great job. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks to all of you for joining me every week. And I'll see you again next Friday. So everybody have a great weekend.